So, solutions. So how do we? I mean, JP had a good point. He's basically like, just don't yield to it. Don't succumb to it. Decentralization is definitely one of the solutions here. There's a reason why, again, countries, nonprofits, any of the elites have been saying for a long time, we need to ban Bitcoin. It's bad. They're making up bullshit stories like criminals are using it. Also lies. I already dealt with that. Decentralization is a good thing because it removes power from the central elite. It removes power from big banks. It's permissionless. I don't need anybody's permission. If I want to send money from me to any one of you guys in a live chat right now, I can send in a cryptocurrency transfer on any number of different kinds of currencies without anybody stopping me from doing it. There's no like giant fee, from the bank or a waiting period of 2 days, or they ask me a fucking survey like, where did this money, like whenever I go to the bank right now, and if you make any deposit over $10,000 because of anti-money laundering laws, and fair enough, you don't want, criminals, or you don't want, anti-money laundering, anti-terrorism. They ask you a sequence of questions. It's like, I'm getting fucking tired of answering questions about whenever I have to make a deposit. So an easy solution to that is just deposit less than what the threshold is, right? But they want to know everything about it. Well, where's this money coming from? And I tried to fuck with them one time. She's like, well, I have to put in here, where this money's coming from. Like, why does it matter? It's my money. Well, she goes, well, it's over this amount, so I have to put it in here. It's for the bank. I'm like, doesn't matter. It's my money. Why do I need to tell you that? Right. And we had to go back and forth. The manager gets involved. I was like, let's just see where this goes, sort of thing. They're adamant about it. So decentralization is a important component of a solution to this problem. And it's beyond me why most of the world has not adopted it to this point. I mean, there's not a lot of forward thinkers, and there's not a lot of guys that are unplugged that see the code in the matrix that know exactly what's going on. Most people are plugged in plebs sleepwalking through life, if we're being honest. So you just have to kind of accept that reality. But, when it smacks you across the forehead like a frying pan of the forehead sort of moment, like it did in Greece and Cyprus and Argentina when they realized that the currency was worth shit, and they were basically wheelbarrowing in money to weigh it. Like they didn't count it. They would weigh it and set on a fucking scale because it's so, worthless. And people try to go to the banks to get their money out when they found the state actually seized it. That's when they're like, oh, now I see a fucking argument for decentralization. Now I see an argument for Bitcoin. But by then, you're not one of the whales. You haven't accumulated anything. You've been sitting on the sidelines like a muppet thinking it's not important because the government's been broadcasting this shit in the fucking news all day long, telling you that, oh, it's it's used by criminals, or it's not safe, or blah blah blah, whatever the narrative is. Decentralization and all. See, things get censored all the time. I was watching, so I'm flipping through the YouTubes the other day, and I've not seen Donald Trump in an interview anywhere live for fucking ages, and this was on YouTube, and it was a brand new podcast. I think it was called the Full Send Podcast. Some of you have probably heard of it or heard of it. Apparently it's quite popular. And it was an interview with Donald Trump, and I watched the whole thing. It was like 45 minutes long or something like that. And it was just conversation. It was just like, hey, what are you doing? What do you think of this and all that? And one of the things he said, he goes, you guys are going to have this video taken down. Like, they're going to remove this. And they're like, nah, they're not. We've put out tons of videos. We're just a friend of Dana's, Dana White, and, we're mutual friends. So he introduced us. So I thought it'd be cool to have a conversation. He's like, well, I'm telling you right now, this is going to disappear at some point in the very near future. And he was right. Very fucking quickly, they took that shit down. Decentralization of content, I think, is a great idea. And nobody's really figured it out just yet. It's going to come because there's people working on it. There's a lot of smart people working on it, because the cool thing about a lot of smart people is they're mostly libertarians, and they're smart enough to see the bullshit. They can see through the lies, and they're all like, we're going to go in there and get his weapons of mass destruction. We're like, yeah, bullshit. There's nothing there. And they're also like, hey, you take this jab and stand on this dot, and there's a pandemic, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm not saying that, people didn't get sick and die. I lost a family member to the freaking COVID bullshit, not because of COVID, but because of shit they gave him at the hospital. I'm telling you guys, you have to keep your eyes open and take a look at what's going on. Anyway, back to the decentralization. So we're talked about that. Okay. Decentralization of information, of money. Ideally, decentralization is a good thing, but it's going to be an uphill battle because government doesn't want things decentralized. They want it centralized. So if more of the population sees the value in decentralization, got my nano ledger here, speaking of which, got to open that up and set it up. If more of the population leans into it and adopts it, there's not much the government can do about that. I mean, they're still going to cram bullshit down people's throats. They're still going to cram CBDCs. They're still going to probably cram universal basic income. They're going to cram narratives around progressivism and liberalism and more of the isms out there. It's going to keep coming. But decentralization is something that you're going to want to look for. So if you guys want solutions, number one thing is do what you can to participate in a decentralized economy. Okay? So we've talked about that. Arm yourself, number two. I realize that there's a part of the population that doesn't like, defending themselves. They think that it's unnecessary. They want to trust in the state or the military or the police force or the fact that people are just good and kind or whatever, the humble notion might be at the time. But the reality of the world is that humans are warring. We're violent. We've been violent for a long fucking time, and we're not a peaceful being. We're just not. We are more violent than any other species on the planet. We've killed more of our own. We're vile, disgusting things. We're a scourge of the earth. If you want to call it that, that's essentially what humans are. So thinking that, if I just think warm and fuzzy and inclusivity and rainbows and butterflies and all that sort of shit, nobody's going to hurt me. Nothing bad's ever going to happen. Bad shit happens, and it happens a lot, and it has happened a lot through history, and it's not going to fucking stop. And if you think just trusting your overlords is a good thing, you're going to see how badly mistaken you are in the future. I'm going to move on from that. That's just learning basic skills for yourself. And inclusive in that is learning how to fight. How many times have you guys watched my Unplugged Alpha show on a Monday night and some guy calls in and he's like, where do I find, cool unplugged guys to hang out with and chop up these ideas and, upgrade my network, right? First thing I basically say to them is, cool, man, you're part of a dojo? No, I don't fight. Why not? That's where those guys are. The guys that are the most unplugged that I've met anywhere are fighters. Whether it's professional or amateur or anywhere on that spectrum, they either fight, they know how to fight, or they're learning how to fight. Let's keep going. Education. There's arguments around depopulation. There's arguments around we need more population. But what I will say as far as a solution, because I don't really fucking care if they're trying to depopulate or they're trying to overpopulate or whatever it is they're trying to do. I can't control that. But I'm talking about solutions that are within your control. And one of the things that you should look at if you're a parent is homeschooling your kids or private schooling them. They're both going to take time and money from you, which is an inconvenience, but you're going to have to accept it. So this is only going to be available to people that are properly sorted in their lives. Okay, meaning they've got their money sorted and they can afford to keep the mother or their kids home to raise their kids and educate them, or they've got sufficient money and resources where they can put them in a private school system where they have some control over choosing which school the kids go into because of the curriculum that they use and the stuff they stay away from and the stuff they lean into. All of that stuff's really, really important. And I think that if you're going to raise kids and leave them up to the state to educate, you're basically screwing yourself over. You're letting yourself down. So educate your children privately is basically what I'm saying. Don't let the state indoctrinate them with the woo-woo bullshit that's pussifying the West. That's going to end up with more state control, more centralization, not decentralization, and a weaker, more compliant society that agrees to stand on dots. I truthfully believe that they thought that this whole beer bug pandemic was going to be that for them, and I think they've realized that it failed. In fact, I've got a great clip here I got to show you guys, because people woke up when they started to see. I said this earlier today on Twitter. I think honestly that Joe Rogan has unplugged and red pilled more people than any other. I'm going to call it a creator in history, just because he's got the Spotify deal, which essentially gives him free reign for the most part, with the exception of the stupid apologies that he keeps making, which I don't agree with. And I've already talked about that in a prior video. But he's red pilled a lot of people with Dr. Malone, Dr. McCullough. I can't remember the Muslim guy with the British accent that was talking about all the fuckery that's going on as well. He's red pilled a lot of people because he's getting 40, 50, 60 million views on some of his podcast episodes. And that's a lot. That's way more than the mainstream media. And I think that's that's alone. And, you know, God bless the guy. He's doing the right thing. I think that's unplugged a lot of people. I think it's a great thing, in fact. So decentralization, again, it's going to become really, really, really important. I mean, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, Elon Musk is such a good guy and he's solving problems in the world, and I really respect him for that. Cool. You know, we're saving the polar bears and the fucking seals and all that with electric energy. But I think that a bigger problem to tackle, I mean, if we're being honest, electric cars just transfer the source of pollution from the tailpipe to the chimney at the coal-fired plant, because that's where most of the electricity comes from, you know, for the most part. It's not windmills and solar panels. That's where it comes from. Guys like Elon Musk, I mean, if they really want to save the planet, should be investing in nuclear power, for example, or like a decentralized social media platform that really properly works, right? That is going to get mass adoption. Anyway, where's that clip with Bill Gates and his wife? The dude that looks like his wife. There it is. Share on screen. Where's my headphones? Give me a second, because I want you to hear this little clip. It's like 5 seconds long. Share screen, Chrome tab, boom, and okay, let's play this real quick. It's very, very short.
So we, you know, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, you know, I'd say is will get attention this time.
Look at the smug look on this guy's face, and this guy's face too, by the way. Look at the smug look on his face. He goes, we'll have to prepare for the next one. And I'd say it'll get attention this time, is basically where he's driving at. Like, they're not even hiding it. And, you know, people are going to criticize me. Oh, you know, you're making mountains out of molehills, or maybe you're interpreting wrong. It's like, dude, I know people. I have a very good bullshit detector, and that reeks of bullshit. Okay. Don't know if it's constipation or diarrhea. I know it's shit, though. That's what I know. Anyway, last solution I wanted to present to you guys, again, things that you can control before I take some of these call-ins over here. I see you guys waiting. Let me know in the private chat, by the way, those of you that are waiting, whether or not you want to hit on whether you think the elites are doing the right thing or if it's a bad thing. Last thing is becoming independent from things that you would typically lean on in the past. Food, energy, those would be the main ones, right? Like, where are you going to put your electricity or get your gas from to put it in the car? That's very hard to, you know, take control of for yourself. I mean, I've seen some friends of mine that have put solar panels, and you need a lot of them today, you know, to get the amount of energy that you need to run your household and even charge an electric car, for example. You need a lot of them, and they cost a lot of money. So this isn't easily accessed by a lot of people, which again supports the argument that I keep making, you know, to you guys, which some people still get pissed off at. I have no idea why, when I say, you know, try to be a millionaire by the time you're 30, 40, you know, the latest, because you need financial freedom. You need the ability to make these choices and decisions. Like, let's say bad shit comes down the road and you want to have control of your energy and not rely on the government or their rates or when they're going to give it to you or when you can or can't use it, sort of thing. And, you know, you want to put solar panels on your house and be independent that way. There's a lot of guys that I've seen that have set up diesel generators, water collection systems, so they don't have to rely on the state delivering clean drinking water. They generate their own through rainwater and purification systems. They grow their own food, so they don't have to rely on, you know, the supply of food that comes via the grocery stores. We've seen a massive increase in prices over the last couple of years with inflation. And, you know, they're using numbers here in Canada like, oh, recently it was determined to be like 5.7, you know, %. And it's a lot more than that. You know, in the US, they've said it's something like 7 or 8%, but it's still a lot more than that, right? It's a trailing number, and they're not including enough of the data to really, you know, make you understand it. I mean, because if I go to the grocery store and I want to get a stalk of celery to juice for myself, excuse me, I think that was like $1.99, 99 cents at one point. You're paying like double, in some cases triple that rate. So in the real consumables that the average person uses, i.e. groceries, for example, you're paying a lot more. So being independent from what they can control is a good thing. It's like, it's part of the reason why you don't see Western leaders, speaking of this conflict with Russia and Ukraine and the prices of gas today as we stand in 2022 at the end of March, they removed the ability to produce their own energy in the West. There was a pipeline that the Canadian Prime Minister basically shot down. The US government didn't want to approve it. Apparently, the Democrats have recently blocked it. There was something I saw on Twitter earlier. But pipelines and domestic production have been removed from the toolbox under the guise of protecting the climate. Now, let's use the climate change argument for a little bit. Let's say they're right. Let's protect the North American economy and climate and the polar bears and the seals and all this stuff here. And let's not mine the earth because it's damaging, and insert that narrative. Okay, maybe you're right. But now, where does the oil and gas come from? Because you still need it. You still have trucking, you still have rail, you still have shipping, you still have air, you still have cars, you still have heating costs. These people don't understand. That has to come from somewhere. So whether you stop making it domestically or you get it outside, it still comes from somewhere. So now it comes from places like Russia. Let's use them as an example. And do you think Russia or China, for example, is going to be a cleaner producer of oil and gas and electricity? No, they don't do things that way, right? So when we had domestic production that met our needs and we were a net exporter instead of an importer, things were a lot better than the price of oil and gas and producing products, because a lot of shit, by the way, is made from oil and gas, like plastics. Like the plastic wrapper on this is made from petroleum products, for example. It's funny. There was a picture somebody showed earlier today of some protester at a English football game who had something on his shirt along the lines of protesting oil and gas, industries and gas and the environment sort of stuff. And he zip tied himself to the goalpost. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but zip ties are made from plastic, which is an oil and petroleum product. Dude is like literally protesting companies and securing himself to the goalposts with things that those companies manufacture. So this is the insanity that a lot of these people have, is they don't realize, okay, well, you can be all warm and fuzzy and try to save the baby seals by stopping or significantly reducing oil and gas production domestically and getting it from somewhere else, like Saudi Arabia or Russia or something like that, or Venezuela. But that's a problem, right? So the government knows this, right? They know what happens. I mean, they're not stupid. We think they're stupid, but we know that they know what they're doing, for the most part. It's just that they're incompetent as a whole, because people vote for incompetency in big government. You want to solve a lot of these problems by voting? Vote for small government, vote for more personal freedom, vote for more accountability. That's basically the concept of libertarianism, right? Liberalism, socialism is more about state control and bigger government and free shit. Somebody once said, people in the West don't want freedom. They want free shit now, right? And that's basically what they vote for. So you can see those patterns. So back to the point of becoming independent, take control of your food supply, take control of your energy supply. Whatever you can do, take control of that as much as possible, because the more you rely on the government for that shit, the more you're going to pay the consequences down the road. Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that short clip. If you did, consider supporting the creation of content by checking out my supplement line. Pinned in the top comment below of this video in the comments, there's a link to the unpluggedalpha.com/shop. When you click through, you'll be able to land over here, and the entire lineup is broken down by category that it performs best in: estrogen metabolism, fat burning, your foundational essentials for health, immune health, performance, and testosterone support. If you check out with coupon code ALPHA10, you'll get 10% off on your first order. There's also the option to use the subscribe and save model, where regular shipments will be sent over to you on a regular basis, and that gives you a little bit of a discount, and your supplement facts are always broken down over here. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And again, check out that link. It's pinned in the top comment below in this video. Peace out.